So the next phylum, Aschelminthus, it is also called as roundworms because the organism which belongs to this phylum contains cylindrical body and they are round in shape. Done. For example, Ascaris lumbricoids. Okay, what is so special for NEET from this Aschelminthus? No, we can call this Aschelminthus as phylum Nematoda. See, it has got one more name, that is phylum Nematoda, that is nothing but phylum Aschelminthus. It has got one more name, that is Nematelminthus. Nematelminthus. See, three different names for the same phylum. Got it? Note this point. Nematoda, Nematelminthus, Aschelminthus, roundworms. Okay. What is so special in this particular phylum that we are going to study apart from your NCERT textbook? I have said these organisms are 100% pseudocoelomates. These are the only phylum which are pseudocoelomates. What is pseudocoelomate? They have got 3 germ layers, hence they are triploblastic 100%, there is no doubt about it. And the middle mesoderm between ecto and endoderm is scattered like a pouches. Like let me just write, this is ectoderm and this is endoderm, and middle what is there? There is mesoderm, but this mesoderm is like this, like a scattered pouches. That is the reason why they are pseudocoelomates, not true coelom or organisms. Okay, now let me just tell you one more thing here. They have not a true skeletal system like us, whereas our skeletal system is made up of minerals, right? Calcium, for example, it's very tough. Okay, so it is a type of endoskeleton, very tough skeletal system in human beings, or maybe in the fishes also, amphibians, reptiles, aves. But in this case, they are invertebrates where they lack this mineral rich skeletal system. That means you have to imagine that you can bend the organism. These organisms are nothing but a rubber like organism, correct? So we just write they are nothing but rubber like organism. Yes. The reason behind it is the skeletal system is very smooth. Got it? Okay, it is not made up of minerals, so it is not tough like human being skeletal system. We write the type of skeletal system in this Aschelminthus is called as hydrostatic skeletal system. Hydrostatic. What is this hydrostatic skeletal system? For example, if I draw one diagram, that is Ascaris, okay, like this. It has got mesoderm. So I have taken a small piece of this and I have drawn this here. Okay, it has got mesoderm. The mesoderm mainly contains a fluid. That fluid is called as pseudocoelomic fluid. Okay, it has got a fluid called as pseudocoelomic fluid. In this case, this pseudocoelomic fluid which acts like a blood. Remember, they do not have blood. The blood is completely absent. There is no blood actually. Okay, so this particular pseudocoelomic fluid acts like a blood. That means actually it's nothing but carries respiratory pigments. That's it. Got it? In the sense like oxygen, all this stuff. Okay. At the same time, the same pseudocoelomic fluid acts like hydrostatic skeletal system. What is this hydrostatic skeletal system? Okay, let us just imagine that it has got a small pipe inside its body, the pipe. This pipe is now skeletal system. Okay, I have drawn this pipe here, and this pipe contains that particular liquid, that is pseudocoel. Okay, even you can write this as pseudocoel. Pseudocoel. That is nothing but pseudocoelomic fluid. Okay, so this pseudocoel actually occupies this particular pipe and which acts like hydrostatic skeletal system. Got it? It's nothing but based on the movement of this liquid within this, the movement, the locomotion can be seen. Got it? So you know that, you can imagine it. It's like nothing but the pressure which is actually produced by this liquid. So based on the pressure, the locomotion is possible. Okay, so that is hydrostatic skeletal system. Next is, you have to remember for this phylum, that is this word, Uteli. What is this Uteli? Not Italy. Uteli. Uteli is the word you have to remember for Aschelminthus phylum. Very important. What is this? See, In my case, let us take human beings as example. When I was very young, maybe in first standard, the number of cells present in my body would be around very less. Let us just imagine I had around 200 cells when I was very young. Now I have got millions of cells. What is the difference between the stages, two different stages? There is an enormous increase in the number of cells when I attain the adult stage. Yes, okay. But in this case, the utterly Aschelmanthus, you see, for example, this is the larvae, because we know that Aschelmanthus organisms, obviously they exhibit indirect development. There is a clear larval stage, okay, before they attain the adult stage. Okay, so this is now the adult organism and this is the larvae, this is adult now. If you just count the number of cells present in the larvae, just for your understanding, it is not approximate number, just simply we are actually considering it. So it is, let us say 100. Simply we say 100 cells are present in the larval stage. Okay, obviously there is an increase in the body mass as it attains the adult stage. Okay, again I am going to put the cells inside this adult. If you count, the number of cells remains the same that was present in the larval stage. That means even though growth has occurred between larval to adult stage, but the number of cells present in the larval stage is same that is actually in adult stage. That means there is no changes in the number of cells. Got it? But growth has occurred. So please note this point. Number of cells remains the same between larval stage to adult stage. That's it. Got it? That is very important character of Aschelmanthus. Okay, we go to the next point. We talk about its respiration. Respiration is always by body surface, that is by simple diffusion. So respiration by body surface, like the previous phylum. Okay, so that is simple diffusion. What about its nervous system? Okay, so this is important. The nervous system, I just write NS for nervous system, that is nothing but brain. They have pharyngeal brain ring. Okay, so we just draw here. For example, if this is the head of the organism, the round one, you can imagine an Aschelmanthus, like Ascaris, okay, round one. And here, you see this is the head portion and this is actually the remaining portion of the body actually, okay. So here, I just put a ring. See, this particular portion is pharynx of the organism, pharynx. Got it? Hope you know what is the meaning of pharynx. Okay, it has got a ring here. This ring serves as a brain. So you have to write, they are pharyngeal because it is present in the place where pharynx is situated. Okay, so pharyngeal brain ring is very important. Okay, so that is actually makes up the nervous system. Got it? Pharyngeal brain ring. This is the very important character of Aschelmanthus. The next is, let us talk about its digestion is always like complete digestion. So digestion is complete. So I think you can write this. I think I have explained about it. Okay, so let me erase it and tell you one more important character before I erase it. Let me just use this portion. Sensory structures. So sensory structures or sensory organs are nothing but particularly they have a structure. Suppose here this is actually in the anterior position of the organism. Okay, so that is actually called as amphids. See, they have amphids in the anterior position of the organism. Amphids. What is this amphid? Let me just erase it and I will explain it. Right here, sense organs or sensory structures. First, let me write amphids. Very important. Based on the presence or absence of amphids, and one more structure that is actually called as phasmids, and one more structure is called as the papillae. The organism can be classified, okay, into two classes. I'll explain it later. Okay. So what is this amphids? Amphids are nothing but, for example, if I just draw the Ascaris, this is the anterior position, and Ascaris, this is posterior position, the end of the body. Yes. Here you see some sense organs here exactly in the anterior position. Okay, they serve as chemoreceptors. Chemoreceptors. What is this chemoreceptors? they sense chemicals. If it is present in their surrounding, they can sense the chemicals. Got it? Chemoreceptors. Chemo means chemicals. They have some receptor cells here. You will understand what is exactly these receptor cells and everything later. Okay. Once we deal with the neural system in human beings, you will understand what is this receptor and everything. So they can sense chemicals. Okay, in their surrounding. So amphid is a type of chemoreceptor. Please write it full. Chemoreceptor present in the anterior position of the Ascalminthus organism. Got it? Okay. Face mates. These also type of chemoreceptors but present in the posterior position. So here you see the face mates. Another type of chemoreceptor. So it is also a type of chemoreceptor. So the first and second one are chemoreceptors. Done. Okay. And this, the third sense organ, that is present here exactly in the anterior position of the body, very close to amphid, that is called as papillae. So it has got papillae. Papillae is present in the lip, that is the opening of the mouth of this particular organism. Got its lip of the organism, that is papillae. So what is the function of papillae? The papillae is a very good tango receptor. So what is this tango receptors? Sense of touch. Okay, so they can sense the touch. Tango receptors, please note this point. Very important, these three: amphids, chemoreceptor; face mates, chemoreceptor. But the position is entirely different. Amphids, A. Amphids, anterior. Face mates, P. Posterior. Both are chemoreceptors. Papillae in the lip of the mouth. Got it? So that is tango receptors, that is sense of touch, the functions. Okay, now let us talk about its excretion now. They excrete ammonia. What they excrete? They excrete ammonia. Majority of the invertebrates, they excrete ammonia itself. Okay, because their excretory system is not developed like birds or human beings. Okay, so ammonia. And what is the name of the excretory organ? Previous one, flame cells or solenocytes. This one, the previous one in the sense, like I am talking about the platyhelminthes. For Ascalminthus, it is called as protonephridia. So note this one. The excretory system is protonephridia. Protonephridia. Okay. What is the other name of the protonephridia? See here, don't get confused. The previous phylum Platyhelminthes, flame cells, can also be called as solenocytes. Protonephridia for this phylum Ascalminthus can also be called as Ranette cells. So Ranette, spelling R-E-N-E-T-T-E cells. Protonephridia. Ranette cells present in Ascalminthus. Done? Easy. Now we will talk about its classification based on the presence or absence of amphids, face mates. So that particular sensory organs. So we can classify them into two types. Let us see that. Now we talk about its classes. There are two different types of classes based on the presence or absence of amphids and also face mates. Okay. So the first class is A, face media. See, media. The second one is face media. Sorry, face media. See the difference? A, face media. In this case, face media. There is no I between D and A for the second class. The example for this is very important. Trichoris. Trichoris is also called as whipworm. Could be asked for match the following type. Trichoris, whipworm, that belongs to A face media of Ascalminthus. Okay. So here what you see is, you see amphids. That is in the anterior position of the body, you see amphids that is present in this particular organism, that is Trichoris, belongs to the class A face media. Whereas face media, that is the chemoreceptor or sensory organ, should be present in the posterior end of the organism, that is absent in A face media. So face mate are absent. So you don't see face mate, only amphids are present. Hence the name A face media. What is the meaning of A? That is lacks, doesn't, contain. So face media is absent. So A face media. Example for A face media is Trichoris, whipworm, the common name. Got it? Okay. Face media, that means face mates are present, not absent, present in its posterior end. At the same time, they also exhibit amphids. So, amphids plus face mids, both are present. Both are there. Both are present. If you want, I'll write. Both are present. Done. Hence, face median. That means it is easy to understand that the classification is mainly based on the presence or absence of face mids, not amphids, because amphid is present in both the classes. Easy, but face mid is present only in this class. It is completely absent in this class. Done? Okay. Examples for face media. Ascaris. I want to add one thing, that Ascaris is commonly called as round worms because it is round in shape. For your competitive examination, you may get this question that I think I have already explained about it. If you take the male, this is male Ascaris, because you could see dimorphism in the sexes, that is male and female are entirely separate organisms in this particular phylum. Okay, so this is the female. What is the difference you see? Male, female. Males are normally smaller and shorter, and their posterior end is bit curvy. See, this is curvy. This is female. The posterior end is not curvy. It is bit straight. It is not curved. Okay, at its posterior position, and it is longer. Got it? It could be asked. How do you differentiate male and female in Ascaris? Males are normally smaller and they have got a curve at its posterior position. In this case, there is no curve in the posterior position and they are long. The females are longer. That's it. Okay, so Ascaris one. Second one is Ancylostoma. It is also commonly called as hookworm. Hookworm. Remember all this stuff. Okay. Then one more is Enterobius. Enterobius. It is also called as pinworm. All this present in human beings intestine. Okay. Enterobius, pinworm. The fourth one is Loya. It is present in eyes. If you want, you can check in the internet like YouTube. Just type Loya. Okay. So eye worm. It is also called as eye worm. The fifth one, let me write here. The fifth one. Hope you know you copy it. Filarial worm, that is nothing but filariasis, which causes a deadly disease called as elephant foot. Yes, you remember, that is nothing but called as Wuchereria. Wuchereria bancrofti, Wuchereria malai, there are so many different types in the same genus Wuchereria. That is also called as filarial worm because it causes filariasis in human beings, that is nothing but elephant foot. Okay, so it is understood that all the organisms that is belongs to Ascalmenthus are 100% parasites, dangerous. Particularly face mida is very dangerous. You just search Loya. Okay, so you will see how they normally grow up to meters. Just imagine meters, 3 to 4, 5 feet in length inside the eye. They are actually coiled inside the eye. Okay, you could see the removal of that particular Loya worm from the eye, that is in the surgery department, and they just pull that worm. Okay, so you see it. So even the pinworms, Ascaris, all these stuffs are dangerous, not good for human beings. Fine, then chalo, thank you. Next phylum I will be talking about, very important, that is Annelida. Yes, so now we study the next phylum, that is Annelida. Very important phylum actually, particularly excretory system or maybe the type of feeding activity exhibited by these particular organisms. Okay, so that is all important. First we write the classes. We start directly with the classes. Actually there are 5 different classes in the particular phylum Annelida, but I am going to explain only 3 classes. That is enough actually. Okay, so first class is Polychaeta. What is the meaning of poly? Poly means many. What is chaeta? Chaeta means legs. Many legs. Okay. So, good example for Polychaeta organism is Nereis. How many legs it has got? Millions of legs. So, Polychaeta. Okay. Nereis. The second class is Oligochaeta. Oligochaeta. What is this oligo? Oligo means few. less. Not poly, few. Oligochaeta, that is, good example is ferritinol. What is ferritinol? Arthropoda. Got it? They normally do not possess the legs, but I'll tell you what is its locomotor structure. Okay. The third one is Hirudinea. Hirudinea leeches. Hirudinaria. Hirudinaria leeches. Simple. You learn these classes with examples. Could be asked in the math the following type or in the competitive examination. Now, important characters. The first one, let me just write its characters. They are bilaterally symmetrical organism, triploblastic. They have 3 germ layers and they are true coelomates. Yes, in coelomates, what type of coelomates? Schizocoelomates or eucoelomates? Okay, or enterocoelomates, not eucoelomates. Okay, so schizocoelomates or enterocoelomates? They are schizocoelomates. Very important. These are the first phylum to exhibit schizocoelom. Annelida, schizocoelomates. Okay, I told you that how to remember it. Schizocoelomate example, arm. A for Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusca. Arm. First one is Annelida, schizocoelomates. Easy. Okay. Then what is schizocoelomate? I hope do you remember it? Simple. They have 3 germ layers, right? And the middle one is mesoderm. The mesoderm band splits like this. One goes to the inner part of the ectoderm, the other covers the outer part of the endoderm, and you could see a cavity. If this one coelom originates from the splitting of the mesoderm, then the organisms are called as schizocoelomates. Easy? Okay. Next is, these are the first phylum to exhibit mouth from blastopore. If the mouth originates from the blastopore during embryonic development of the organism, then these organisms are considered as protostomes. Yes. Do you remember it? Mouth originated from blastopore. Blastopore, you remember? Okay. If anus originates from the blastopore, then obviously they are called as deuterostomes. We human beings are deuterostomes, not protostomes. Got it? Okay. So this is the thing. Skeletal system, they don't have mineral rich skeletal system. They are also called as hydrostatic skeletal system, similar to your previous phylum, Aschelminthes, hydrostatic skeletal system. Done. What is the name of the respiratory fluid? That is, they carry oxygen. Very simple. They have blood, not like our blood. The blood is not red in color. Okay, but they have hemoglobin, Hb. Hemoglobin is there. Togetherly we call it as Hb and the blood. Togetherly called as erythrocrurin. See the spelling? Erythrocrurin. I think we delete this. Okay, erythrocrurin is actually the blood of Annelida. Remember it? What is exactly the blood of Aschelminthes? Pseudocele. It is not exactly blood, but still it helps in the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Like it carries respiratory gases. Done. Same. Here in this case, erythrocrurin. Erythrocrurin is exclusively the blood of Annelida. Got it? Okay, fine. The next important is its excretory organ. You remember nephridia. Nephridia is its excretory organ. What they excrete? There are 2 types of excretion chemicals. If the organism is living maybe in the water, if it is aquatic, for example Nereis, they excrete ammonia. Ammonia is the excretory material in the case of aquatic animal. Aquatic. I will just write it short. Aquatic form, annelids, Nereis, very good example. Okay, whereas you take leeches, they are land dwellers, terrestrial annelids. Okay, so they excrete urea. Got it? Ammonia, urea. Easy? Okay, that is normally land dwellers. Done. Now we talk about its locomotory structure. Locomotory structure. Locomotion is mainly because of muscular chitinous seating. It has got muscle. All annelida contains muscles like this. Okay, muscles will be there. For example, you take earthworm, and you might have seen it has got metamerism. I'm not going to talk about metamerism. That is very important character of all annelids. Okay, so here what you see is you see S-shaped structures. These S-shaped structures are nothing but made up of chitin. So it is chitinaceous. Chitinaceous S-shaped structures, they help in locomotion. Okay, when they move, obviously the entire organism move. Locomotion is mainly because of chitinaceous setae. So the term is setae. Chitinaceous setae. Chitin S-shaped structure called as setae. Locomotor structure. Setae is the locomotor structure of annelida, which is made up of chitin. Done? Easy? Okay. Another important character is presence of heart. We just write. If you take all invertebrates, heart is seen for the first time in annelida. That means heart originates maybe from annelids. Okay, so heart, they have heart. Okay, not like a 4-chambered heart or 3-chambered, 2-chambered heart actually. A tiny heart which can pump the blood, that is erythropoietin. Got it? So this is the thing. Now last one is majority of the organism which belongs to annelida are blood sucking animals. Yes, they suck the blood. For example, leeches. So we call them as this sanguivorous animals. So if you get any term like sanguivorous, no confusion, annelids. Leeches, they are 100% sanguivorous. Sanguivorous, that means actually they are the parasites, particularly ectoparasite, they can suck the blood. So sanguivorous, they have the ability to digest RBC of any other organism like mammals. So sanguivorous. So that's all about it. I think I have covered all important points of the annelida. Your duty is to refer NCERT textbook and you have to write whatever I have explained. Done. So combine it and prepare your own neat material. Simple. Even I am going to give you the notes and also practice questions. But along with that, your effort is very important. Without your effort, you cannot qualify. Yes, 600 plus not possible. Your effort is compulsory, must. So that's all about it. Thank you very much. Have a very good week.